This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Hi team, welcome to the show. Got an important message from our sponsor Masterworks, who, like all of us, I think were hoping that Bitcoin would be the gold standard for inflation hedges. After all, it's not like the Fed can print any more Bitcoin, right? But so far as an inflation hedge, Bitcoin is not quite there. And don't just take it from me. According to a new Bank of America report, Bitcoin has failed as an inflation hedge for a while now. However, there is another alternative asset they're urging investors to buy right now. I'm talking about fine art. Yes, the last time inflation was this high, art appreciated by 33.2% annually. That's significantly better than stocks, gold, and even real estate. And protecting your wealth with top-tier art isn't a new concept, but investing in art by icons such as Andy Warhol, Picasso, and Banksy used to be an option for the ultra-rich only, people like Elon Musk, Cathie Wood, and Jeff Bezos. However, now we have Masterworks, the fintech unicorn from New York, which allows everyday individuals to also invest in blue chip art. They let you buy shares of multi-million dollar paintings, so you get the upside of that art as an asset without the high costs. Over 500,000 people have signed up, and if you want to stay ahead of the curve and hedge like the best, just head to masterworks.com and use the promo code CryptoConversation for priority access. That's masterworks.com, promo code CryptoConversation. And you can see important disclaimers at masterworks.com/CD. All right, folks, now it is on with the show. My guest today is Brett Herskope, also known as Eliherf in some corners of the internet. He's been on the show before. It's his second appearance, so welcome back to the show, Brett.
Thanks so much for having me. Always a pleasure to to have a repeat appearance. I feel very honoured, old mate, as we say.
Yes, indeed, old mate. Well, welcome back to the show. Should also say that you're head of growth at Gamma, which is a leading marketplace for NFTs, particularly on Stacks and on Bitcoin. And Brett, did you know that this is actually, I think officially, it's either maybe the 301st or perhaps the 302nd episode of the Crypto Conversation?
That's an impressive feat by you, by the way. And I feel like we joked about it last time, but I've listened to a fair few of them. So, yeah, I thought you were going to say it's the 300th, but...
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I actually just earlier today I published what I'm calling the official 300th episode, which was really just me talking to myself for 5 minutes, not really congratulating myself, but more thanking the listeners for listening and subscribing and downloading and all that stuff. But yeah, it's been a ride, crazy to get to 300, but anyway, yeah, here we are.
Here you are. Yeah, no, well done. And I like that you gave yourself the 300th one. Why not? And yeah, always giving get the listeners to give you those 5 stars. So I have done that in the past. So I hope everyone else is doing that as well.
I love your work. All right. Well, let's not make this about me though, Brett.
We can.
Let's make it about you. So,
all right.
Hopefully some people will remember your previous appearance, but for new listeners or those that don't, Brett will do what we always do at the beginning of the show. Please introduce yourself.
So as you said, my name is Brett Herskope. I am head of community growth at Gamma, which, as you said, is the leading NFT marketplace, built on Stacks and secured by Bitcoin. I'm also co-founder of an NFT project called Stacks Parrots. My background, I spent 10 years in education as a teacher and also in sort of leadership. And sort of funnily before that, I was a podiatrist as well on my journey. So I've had a bit of a journey, but here we are.
Were you a podiatrist? I didn't know that. I knew, obviously knew that you're a teacher, but I don't know if you've ever brought that up in our many conversations. How long were you a podiatrist?
I was going to joke that that's that in a relationship you got to keep your partner surprised. But I was a podiatrist, so I did the 4 years of study to become a podiatrist. I only worked as a podiatrist for 1 year, and I realized that you have to work for a large part of your life, and I didn't love it enough to pursue it, and so my now wife and I, she's an occupational therapist. We both quit our jobs and traveled around South America for a year. And then, I came back and did in Australia, there was a thing called a diploma of education, which is like a master's, but you could do it in 1 year. So I knocked that over and then did my 10 years of teaching. And now here I am working in Web3. So, yeah.
Yeah, the wonderful world of Web3. All right, then. Well, tell us a little bit about Gamma, and then, I mean, we'll talk more as we go deeper into the show. It's just kind of obviously crypto winter. It's a funny time for NFTs, but you know what they like to say about bear markets? It's a time for building. So, what are you guys building over at Gamma?
Well, as you say, like it almost seems like a bit of a crypto cliche that bear markets are a time for building, but it really has been. Things have been non-stop. I guess like internally, you wouldn't really even know that it's a bear market. Obviously, if you look across the various ecosystems, I guess volume has definitely, slowed down and, prices have dipped across the crypto markets. But yeah, we've been constantly updating the UI and the UX of the site. Recently we've gone through a fairly big change in terms of the collection view and how people can navigate through the website. We've had some really great events. So we had Photography Week. We had an event called The Artist Behind the Project. So we had all of the, pardon me, all of the artists from the sort of, I guess you could call it the top 10 to 12 projects on Stacks. Obviously each project has an artist at the heart of it. And so we had each of the artists, create a piece of art that was just, by them. It had nothing to do with their project. So anything was kind of like an open slate. They could create whatever they want. And we sort of made it a big focus to, celebrate the actual artists at the core of all the projects. And then they all were auctioned on our marketplace. So auctions has been, well, not a new thing, but a reasonably new thing and been going really well. And we've been attracting, lots of different artists from other ecosystems. Part of my job, I guess, amongst many things, it's a pretty bit of a broad stroke what I do, but is onboarding and helping bring artists and creators onto Stacks, and particularly, obviously, onto Gamma, and, teaching them about the processes and how to do it and getting them. And we've had some, great one-of-one artists dropping work on the auctions page, and we've had that's been really successful.
Well, on that then, Brett, and I think you're really good at this, right? Because I see you on Twitter all the time, talking to new artists or bigging up artists, and telling them to come and try out the Stacks ecosystem and all that good stuff. And I know, man, it takes energy. You're putting energy out in the world to do that. So I hope you take the time to recharge as well. But
of course.
Are these primarily like existing NFT artists, or are they people from outside of crypto that you're trying to kind of bring into crypto, or is it a bit of both?
It's definitely a bit of both. So it's interesting. I guess some creators have found that other ecosystems, I guess, can be, quite busy or quite crowded. And so they found when they come across the Stacks, because, obviously it's a growing ecosystem. It's still young. It's only about 18 months old since mainnet launch, and, the smart contracts in terms of being able to provide DeFi and NFTs secured by Bitcoin, as I said, are only, just over a year and a half old. So, the wallet base is growing and the creator base is growing. And so they're starting to notice that if they come across, they're being able to, be seen and sell their artwork. But it's been really cool because I've been able to onboard, even artists who I know or others, or people have been able to refer their friends. It's been really interesting. All the way back in May, I guess, when we made a real push to get new creators and become not just PFP projects, but also, all creators. And so, celebrating and supporting one-of-one artists. It's been interesting. We had a big event then, and we brought across a number of artists from the I guess, yeah, Tezos, ETH, and Solana. So all three of those, I guess, ecosystems, and had artists come across from there. And then since then, a lot of them have then referred on um, their friends, their artists' friends or creator friends. And so yeah, I get plenty of DMs saying, "Hey, you want to check out my friend? They're really interested in joining Gamma." And obviously, we're an open marketplace, so yeah, more than happy to have new people and new art and beautiful different sort of creators join the ecosystem. And they do really get that sense when they come across that it is like that. It is sort of like a young but sort of booming ecosystem, and the collectors are happy to see new art and new different styles, and they feel sort of like a lot of the warmth and feel really at home in the Stacks ecosystem, because I guess, as we probably talked about last time, and as you've probably felt as well, it's quite a welcoming place. It really is, I guess, quite tight knit still. So obviously we need to grow. So not everyone knows everyone, but even when there are new artists who join, they really do feel the love, which is really, I think it's really important.
Yeah, I do too, and obviously, it's such a it's still very early, it's still very new. Web3 is still really just at the beginning, and we've had this first wave of NFTs, but again, it is still very early. But you do feel that there are these distinct communities building around the different chains, right? Whether it's Ethereum or Solana or Stacks, and there are some subtle differences. But yeah, it's cool to see. I wonder, Brett, you talk about the kind of, there's always this consistent volume across, I guess, some PFP collections, but also growing interest in collectors looking for one of ones or like unique art or unique photography based NFTs. What do you guys see at Gamma in terms of are there kind of are these different audiences, or do they cross over as well? And is there kind of more action in one particular segment of the market when everything's a bit down as it is at the moment?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Actually, we've just launched a new, like, through Gamma, you can launch your own NFT project or your own one of one art using our create portal. So it's like a launchpad for creators, which is super simple. So it's like no code, NFT minting. So literally just drag and drop and create your collection. And so they can, create a continuous collection, which is typically used for the auction. So they can, add to their collection, or it can be a public mint, or it can be additions. So that's all been refined and relaunched recently, which was great. And so the reason why I brought that up was, but it's been interesting. I can't obviously speak for other ecosystems as much, but we've found that probably at the moment, the one of one art is doing almost better in terms of primary sales than, say, like a big PFP collection. I think during the bear market, I think it's been a lot harder. And I think it has been across the other ecosystems as well, for collections to kind of be new and then, mint out in this market. Whereas there's obviously like consistent volume for the bigger projects which are just selling via secondary, but it's been more challenging, I think. And it's taken, I guess, different thinking, or perhaps reducing collection sizes, or dropping things in batches, or doing things a little bit differently to when, things are really hot and, 5,000, 2,500, 10,000 piece PFP projects are kind of minting out in 30 seconds, that sort of thing, I think has slowed down. So it's taken, I think it's given new projects something to think about. People are thinking about, what's the utility? Does it need utility? Is it being purely art based? What collection size makes sense? How are we developing our community? And I think, as we've talked about before, community is massive in all of this, because you can't just drop a collection and think it's just going to sell out. Whereas I think, I'll just add, I think for one of one artists, and particularly in the Stacks ecosystem, because there's there's a lot of Bitcoiners obviously in the Stacks ecosystem due to the Stacks blockchain and its unique relationship with Bitcoin. People are seeing a store of value in one of one art, and quality one of one art at that. So yeah, it's been really interesting to see that really booming, particularly on Gamma at the moment.
Yeah, nice. And you mentioned, Brett, the importance of community, right? So yeah, you and I've discussed this before. I think we did a
Yeah,
podcast on it, in fact,
we
and
did.
I know you've probably spent more time than you care to admit in NFT, Discord NFT communities. But
Yeah, we won't watch the clock.
no, I'm I'm kind of enjoying having a little bit of a break from that stuff at the moment. Actually, that's one good thing about the bear market is kind of the temperature in the room drops, and I'm much less interested in just keeping an eye on like day-to-day market prices of Bitcoin or Ethereum. Certainly not really going on OpenSea at all, and yeah, not spending much time in Discord either. I pop into the kind of the two or three NFT ecosystems that I like and have a quick look, but that is really about it. But when I do notice there's still a lot of activity there, but there's there's an edge as well. You see, maybe I don't know, maybe new people or people that are overexposed or younger people or whatever it is. I wouldn't like to cast judgment, but you can see some people are just a bit bummed out about the state of things, and they start to moan about things, which is fair enough. But yeah, what do you think the vibe is and across those Discord communities at the moment?
Yeah, again, it's been really interesting. So I suppose it depends on the communities and the mindset. And like you said, again, without knowing necessarily, like maybe in some of those ecosystems or projects, who knows what the demographic is like. But so I can speak for Stacks and, Stacks Parrots, which is my project. And then, being in other servers like CrashPunks and Megapont and Project Indigo and Bitcoin Monkeys and other, big projects across Stacks, that the mood hasn't really dropped too much, and a lot of the same people who were around earlier, or when things were hot, so to speak, are still around. And I guess perhaps it's because some people, or perhaps it depends on the types of communities or the way that the message is sent out to those communities and the kind of culture that's set within each of those communities. And no one promising 10x overnight and those sort of crazy things that I'm not saying this is an ETH thing, but you see, some projects just absolutely explode overnight for no particular reason. It might just be a PFP project, whereas then there's another project that's doing, XYZ and super unique and pioneering, and then really struggling to lift their floor price at all. So I guess people come in and they think it's sort of like a bit of a get rich quick scheme, and maybe that's what upsets them. But I guess that's going to, I suppose I've actually talked about it with quite a few people, is I hope that sort of thing starts to deteriorate, and that people come in and know that they buy an NFT or they buy into a community for for the long term or the medium term. I know it's very hard to determine in crypto. You asked that question in the very famous crypto conversation hot take around that, how where do you see things in 5 years or 10 years? But that people do realize that things take time to build. Like, you'd never buy shares in a company, expect that company to 10x overnight. Like, companies and businesses and projects and cultures and communities take time to develop. And I think that patience is going to become a virtue, to use a cliche, but in NFTs. And I think in order for it to be sustainable and to be a thing that's around in X amount of time, that's going to be really important. So yeah, it's fascinating. And I think that it really does come down to the culture that's being created. And I can certainly, like I said, speak for Stacks projects in comparison to some of the other discords that I have seen in other ecosystems, where the temperature is different. And I suppose I don't want to say like we're more sophisticated than anyone else or anything like that. It's not judging, because I'm sure that there's some brilliant communities elsewhere, but just in comparison on the whole, it's been one thing that I've noticed. And yeah, I hope that NFTs aren't seen like that, because I think that that's not going to allow it to become more mainstream, and where people just see it as pump and dump and get rich, and pump your bags and then shift your bags over to someone else where people actually see it, because then someone's just going to end up bag holding and everything's going to go to zero. But people buy into I'm hoping, or I guess the aim and what a culture that we've developed at, at the Parrots, and then what I've seen at Megapont, what I've seen in the other projects on Stacks that I've listed, and not just those, because there are others where people are buying them. Yes, they want to make money. Everyone wants to make money. We all need a job. It's great to, get some extra stacks or to get some extra ETH or, whatever, but that you're investing into it, for more than that. And I think that that's going to be really important for people, and also going to make it more of an attractive proposition, and also make it make more sense to other people who may not be involved in any of this yet. And so they don't kind of cringe or laugh at it. And I think that, I don't want to feel like I'm just on the defensive, but I think it is really important, because I think you do see that sort of culture. You do see some things written on Twitter and where you just think, oh, that's not helping the space. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I very much agree. And I think, as much as, last year and the year before was fun, that kind of hot market is not sustainable in the long term. And definitely, as much as, some people will be feeling some pain if they're sitting on NFTs that they bought at the top. At least, some of that air has been let out of the room. Still plenty of interest, and look, there are lots of really smart people, really smart and talented communities, lots of interesting things happening. And so I'm sure when things do start to turn around, hopefully everything will just be on a stronger foundation, and everything will have advanced along, and it'll be easier perhaps in the future, 6 months or a year down the line, be easier to answer the question when someone says, well, what is an NFT and what is it for, and can you give me 5 Web3 use cases that make sense, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's fascinating. I guess that's the whole thing with the space, is it's evolving and it's adapting, and people are figuring out why would they want something? What does it provide? Sort of tooling? Does it provide you just access to a community you want to be part of? Does it provide you some kind of utility? Is it just great art? Because great art, I think is super important. Art's been around for hundreds of years or thousands of years, and hopefully is going to sustain itself going forward. Because I think we probably touched on this point last time, but it's very multifactorial, and I guess it's kind of like in real life. You kind of want to find your tribe, so you just got to find your tribe, and I know I heard Jamil, our founder, when you interviewed him, you got to also sort of what he said something about the vibe, but you do also need to buy an NFT that sort of fits your vibe, and I think that's really important as well, because in the end it's a digital collection. You're a collector. Humans have been collectors for a long time as well. People can be into collecting lots of different sorts of things, and whether you're a gamer and you're collecting things that you can then use in game, or whether you're just collecting art or you're collecting PFPs because you like that art, sorry, lost words. You're collecting it, or you're involved in it for the right reasons.
Absolutely. And speaking of art, one of the things I've been thinking about a bit lately, Brett, and look, a lot of people, you see all these tweet storms on AI art at the moment, right? So Midjourney and all these other AI tools that effectively can spit out unlimited amounts of increasingly sophisticated digital art based on one sentence text prompts. And you extrapolate this out, the art itself is pretty amazing already, considering that these AI tools can generate them in 5 seconds or so. And as the technology matures, we'll reach a point where people will be able to, or the AI tools will be able to generate eventually like a full feature-length movie based on, you just give the AI a brief. And same for music, same for poetry, prose, or novels. I don't know, man. What happens when AIs are capable of instantly generating feature films, beautiful music, beautiful stories? How does human creativity compete in that world? I know it's not I don't know. It's a weird one, man.
I'm glad you asked it, because it's actually been something I've been grappling with, and we've been talking about internally at Gamma, and just the NFT communities, of course, are talking about it and creating things and showing each other, and it's selling. And I think that one thing is really important. If people are selling AI art as NFTs, which they're entitled to do, I think is being transparent that it is in fact AI art, because I'd hate to see, as you see in the crypto and NFT spaces, there are bad actors, and I'd hate to see someone, claiming to be a high quality artist, but all they've done is type a sentence into Midjourney and into DALL-E, and they're amazing pieces of technology. I'm not speaking negatively of those, and I'm sure there are other AI art platforms. I'm not speaking negatively of those, but I think that it's going to be really important for transparency, because I think that personally, and I think I probably can speak for most, and I'm sure maybe there'd be some exceptions where the human created stuff will have more value or more intrinsic value than the AI created stuff. And perhaps, and sort of the person I was speaking to were kind of like joking around about it, but maybe we will need some kind of AI, and it's beyond my, my knowledge, some AI that can then figure out whether or not the art is actually AI art or not, so there's going to be sort of like robots to figure out if the art's created by robots or not, if you like, in a simple way. And I think that might be really fascinating, because personally, I'd prefer to own a beautiful piece of art that a human created. That's not to say I don't have any AI art personally in my gallery, but other people do, and that's totally fine, because that that sort of begs the question, like, what is art? And art can be so many different things, but I think the human element is definitely going to provide a lot more value or intrinsic value to a piece of art moving forward. But it was certainly a fascinating point to think that, we might need a way moving forward to know whether or not something is AI art if it wasn't, if it doesn't say so.
Yeah, I think we will. There will need to be. I guess could be done on chain at the time of minting or something like that. But
Yeah.
I think, me personally, I can imagine sometime in the future, if I watch a piece of content, I'm not too fussed who made it. It could be a monkey, it could be a human, or it could be an AI. But like, if it's have you seen The Sandman? You watching The Sandman on Netflix?
No, I thank you for the recommendation.
Oh, you must. So I don't know if you know much about The Sandman, but yeah, it's like a very famous graphic novel, written in I think the either late 80s, early 90s, so quite old, but it's kind of respected as almost the Shakespeare of graphic novels, and for a long time regarded as unfilmable, but it's available on Netflix, biggest show on Netflix at the moment. It's incredible. Highly recommend that. But I guess my only point, the point I'm making is, I don't care who made it. It's kind of the same argument as special effects. Is it a green screen, or is it a real actor, or is it CGI? End of the day, I don't think doesn't matter. It's like, is it a compelling emotional piece of storytelling? That's all that matters. And if AI can do that, the genie's going to be out of the bottle, I think.
Yeah, look, it's interesting. Maybe I think when it comes to art, like I said, there's so many forms of art. But I think when it comes to, again, I was speaking to, I'll name drop him, a friend of mine from the Stacks ecosystem called Repo. He's actually in the Stacks Dads, so you've probably seen him around. Shout out to the Stacks Dads as always. We were talking about it. His mother is an artist, so she could spend 2 to 3 weeks painting, something, and every brush stroke is very specific and very particular and very cared for, and then if you type in a sentence into Midjourney or DALL-E, again, not knocking those platforms, and it created the same piece of art that took her 3 weeks to make in 5 seconds. I think that's where the conundrum sort of picks up. It's like, which one is worth more? And to me personally, it's the one that his mum created. So look, I think that's something that I don't have the answer for right now. And but I think it's certainly something that is gonna be a challenge or gonna be interesting moving forward for people because as you said, yeah, special effects in a movie, perhaps some of the other use cases that you said, but I don't know, like which one is worth more. I'm still very much of I think that technology is amazing, and I work in with amazing developers, and you and I both work in Web3, and Web3 is full of all this technology, but the humans at the heart of it are still the most important, in my opinion. Maybe I'm old-fashioned.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. For now, there's still I think there's a premium on humanity is the easy way to explain it for now, but I'm not sure if that will last. I think we might see that as quite a charming, naive idea 50, 100 years from now. But it reminds me of this. I saw this meme. It's always hard to try and describe a meme, but it's kind of adjacent to this idea that everyone always thinks if we invent a new piece of technology or really powerful AI, then jobs will disappear for humans, and we'll go down a dystopian path. But I saw this meme when it said, there's all these new jobs now, like being a TikToker, an influencer, a cosplayer, or a stand-up comedian. These are all very much kind of jobs of the moment, whereas jobs in the future, there'll be like, and I'm looking at the meme now, it says gravity eater, a boson cutter, quantum hunter, glitch dreamer. Point being, as technology evolves, so do our ways of interacting with that technology. And I just think, hopefully we live in a future world of abundance, and maybe digital scarcity is one of the ways we get that abundance. I don't know, Brett. Who knows?
No, but you're right. And I think that digital scarcity is what a lot of this is, all about. 21 million Bitcoin, 402 Stacks Parrots. The Gamma marketplace. Well, yeah, it was funny. We picked 402 because, according to Google, there's about sort of approximately 402 species of parrots in the world. So we thought, let's go with that. But yeah, you're right. And look, I think that you asked that utopia versus dystopia question, but I think humans. Who knows? It's very dystopian to think about it in this way, but humans are the ones creating this technology. So hopefully we can use it in a way that benefits humankind, and maybe it just leads to us living more relaxed, easier lives, because the AI or whatnot can do things for us that mean that we have more time for relationships. That's the way I'd like to look at it.
Oh, I like that. The world would be a better place for it. All right. Well, let's start to finish off, Brett. We won't do the very famous crypto conversation hot take round because we've done it before.
I have referenced it.
But you have referenced it. But firstly, as we start to finish off, just anything you want to share in terms of what's happening at Gamma or with Stacks Parrots, or shout out to the Stacks dads, just to tell people where they should go to engage with the Gamma and Stacks communities and so on.
Yeah, well, so you can find our Twitter at TryGamma. Same thing with Instagram. You can find our Discord link on the Gamma Twitter. There's always or any feedback or queries or anything, obviously always reach out to us. There's always a human at the other end, talking about humans and robots, but and you can do that through the TryGamma support Twitter as well. We've got some interesting things coming up. There's a quite a big musician out of South Africa. His name's Arno Carstens. He's played with bands like In Excess and other big bands. Been on the cover of the Rolling Stone. He's going to be bringing some NFTs to Gamma and to the Stacks ecosystem, which is very exciting. And he's going to be presenting that at a big crypto conference / event in South Africa called Crypto Fest. So shout out to the group running them. I've also been in touch with a group who are starting an event here, which is going to be called NFT Fest Australia or something like that. So something like that. I shouldn't say it is called NFT Fest Australia. So it's been really cool. It's cool to see that sort of thing starting to kick off In Australia, maybe it's just the Twitter algorithms feeding me stuff, and it's always been there since it's figured out that I am an Australian and post things like that. So that's really cool. So yeah, we're always, growing, looking, for people to, creators to come across, collectors to come across and check it out and learn more about Stacks and its, the interesting, consensus mechanism it has with Bitcoin. And what else can I tell you about Gamma that's exciting? There's just so many things in the works. Like, it's amazing. One thing I've found really fascinating working at Gamma and working with somebody like Jamil, who came from, really high up in terms of being in the lead machine learning engineering team at Apple, is, what devs can do and how, things progress and the amazing pushes that they're always making, but then also bringing my skill set to it and bringing the community aspect and, being in touch with creators, bringing them across, being in touch with collectors, being in touch with the community and, gaining their feedback and finding out what they want to see, what UX and UI they want to see. So people can always reach out to me as well, for features and feature requests and whatnot. That's been really powerful because obviously, we want to be creator and community first. One, actually, it's worth shouting out this Thursday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time for the States. So make that calculation around the world. I think it's 6:30 a.m. for me on Friday morning. We're holding a creator roundtable event, and that is an event for the community, but mainly for creators, but anyone can feel free to turn up. It's a Zoom event. The invite's on our Twitter. So where we're going to be, going through lots of things. So, getting feedback, showing the creators the tooling and the tools they can use to launch their own collections / art on our marketplace, and just, networking, connecting with people, finding out what makes them tick, seeing what they want to see, introducing them to each other. It'll be a really fun event. And, it's the first one that we're doing this week. So really looking forward to that. So always lots happening, particularly from me on the community end, always working on the next event. We've got a really strong panel of female creators who will be doing a drop and doing a mint, which will not just be female creators, but they're the curators of the collection, if you like, where the mint is going to be donated to one of the charities promoted by the International Women's Day. I guess I don't know how to refer to them. So I think they're an organization. So that will be really cool. So yeah, like lots in the pipeline from my end, and obviously all of the what else? Stacks Parrots. Stacks Parrots is really cool. I get excited about this. We're about to drop something called the Stacks Parrots Galleries. So anyone who owns any Stacks Parrots, it's going to be a 2D or a 3D one, will receive their own immersive 3D NFT gallery. So for all of your Stacks NFTs, they'll be a little bit like on Cyber, which is on ETH, which I think their smaller galleries are free, and then their bigger galleries you have to mint. But this will just be own a parrot and you get a gallery, whether you've got 10 NFTs, 100 NFTs, or 800 NFTs, like some people on Stacks, which a couple of the parrot holders have got quite a few. So they've been our sort of, it's been funny working on that. So they've been our benchmark. If we can get their galleries to load and work smoothly, then we know we're almost good to ship. And that's been really exciting because we've also figured out a way for people's audiovisual NFTs to play inside the gallery as well. So our dev, shout out to EOM Games, has been able to develop an audiovisual player. So up on one of the walls in your gallery, you can scroll through, queue up a playlist of your music NFTs or your audiovisual NFTs and hit play, and they play, and you can listen to the music as you navigate around your gallery. So it's kind of a beautiful thing, is you can just stick on the music and then flick over to another tab on your computer and listen to your NFTs, or you can listen to them while you cruise around your gallery. So that's exciting stuff as well. So lots happening at Gamma and lots happening with the parrots, and obviously lots happening in Stacks. And I think, who knows how long this bear market's going to last, but as you said, bear market's for building, and there's some amazing platforms and amazing projects building on Stacks, building across other ecosystems. So I guess, as we sort of alluded to earlier, it sounds a bit cliche, but you do sort of have to stay positive. You also need to realize that invest what you can afford, invest in things that you like, and don't go too hard and expect to make a whole bunch of money, because some projects or some cryptocurrencies, it can be volatile. And so my advice for, I guess, newcomers and people who've been around for a while is, it's like in anything, you wouldn't put all your money into one place. Make sure it's diversified, make sure that you're having fun, and make sure that you can, pay your rent and put bills, put bills on the table. God, put food on the table. Feed your kids if you've got them. Or keep all the IRL stuff at the forefront of your mind. And then I suppose that's probably the best way to get through all of this. And it's fun while it's hot, but it needs to be fun while it's not hot as well. Otherwise, it would be too stressful.
Very nicely said. Very nicely said. Thank you, Brett. I enjoyed that. Always a pleasure catching up with you. We'll do it again, I'm sure. All the best, and bye for now.
Thanks, Andy.